It is a Clubhouse Cafe morning show. It is Wednesday morning. It is still chilly outside, still a little snow on the ground. But joining me today is Unity Rockets wrestling coach, Mr. Logan Patton. Mr. Patton, how are you?
Doing great, man. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I am good. You know, it's kind of crazy that you have been around. I've known you for a little while now with football, Unity Rockets football, covering that and things. And we're going to have you on starting on Wednesday mornings on the Clubhouse Cafe morning show to talk wrestling, to talk football, to talk a little bit of everything, and talk about Patton training too, because you're big into that as well.
Yeah, man. Just super involved year round with wrestling and football and weightlifting and whatever we can do to get these Central Illinois kids better.
Yeah. Now let's start with wrestling, because that's what it's all about. It's Wrestling Wednesdays here in the Clubhouse Cafe.
That's right.
And we're gonna have you here all morning long, which is awesome. But let's start about what you do. How long have you been a coach at Unity?
So I've been at Unity. This is year 8. I've been coaching here 8 years now. I was at Hoopston before that for 4 years, coming right out of college, graduated from Eastern. So I've been coaching for 12 years now, but eight so far at Tolona.
Tolona, you have had a great program you've built there in the last 8 years too. And you do a lot of great things with the wrestling program. You've had several state champions. Am I wrong in that? Am I right?
No, man. So we've had 3 state champions, 7 straight years of a state finalist, plenty of state placers and qualifiers.
And you just keep building and building and building. And we're going to get into that because we got a long way to go this morning. And so we're going to take a quick break. We're going to get back to the music, and then we'll come back with Coach Patton here in a few minutes, and we'll talk about how he builds his program and everything he's all about. You're listening to the Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show here on Clubhouse Lounge Radio, Clubhouse217.com. It's the Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show here on Clubhouse Lounge Radio, Clubhouse217.com. I am Keith Gibson, owner and operator, and with me today it is Wrestling Wednesdays on the Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show. We got Coach Patton from the Unity Rockets with me. And Coach, we talked earlier in the morning how you've been there 8 years. You've got 3 state champions, 7 straight years as state finalist. How have you built your program, man? How are you doing this successfully?
Just got the right people in the right place. You know what I mean? I've had the same staff. Josh Inman's been my right-hand man. I call him my left-hand man because he sits in the left chair. I sit in the right chair. We got a little superstitions.
Hey, that's all right. That's all right,
yeah,
man.
Just a little superstitions. But we've been together for 12 years and know each other and been building off that. I've got my dad, the general. You know what I mean? You got a lot of Pattons in the room, so you get the general in there who's had 30-plus years of knowledge. You know, he's right on the doorstep of being a Hall of Famer. You know, he got the Lifetime Achievement Award last year, so I feel like this guy's going to get the Hall of Fame. You know, got my brother in there, got Coach Vetter he was at St. Joe. He was a head coach for about 10, 15 years in St. Joe. Got him involved and plenty of guys that are coming back like Ryan Basie, Micah Downs, Chad Eaton that are donating back to the program.
How'd you get all started, Coach? How'd you get started in wrestling? And did you wrestle in high school?
Yeah, I wrestled in high school. I actually went to Eastern to wrestle in college before they dropped that program. And had a long talk with my mom and things like that about is my body capable of giving 4 or 5 more years of wrestling, or should I go a different route? And ended up going that way with the coaching route. So I honestly started in diapers is what she'll tell you. My dad was a coach at Hoopston for a long time. Coach there, you know, Coach John Lockhart back in the day. He's a Illinois alum, All-American. So I remember growing up watching my dad scrap with John and wrestled through Hoopston Youth Club. Got to high school. My dad got a coaching job at Bismarck, so I wrestled my high school career at Bismarck. Injuries and kind of things just didn't go the way I'd like to see it go, and it happens. Had an opportunity to go to Eastern, and honestly, program dropped. So it's like, what do I want to do? Do I want to go transfer to another school? You know what I mean? There's no other Division Ones. I'm not Illinois worthy. I know, understand that. So I would have had to go to a D2, D3, and God's plan was a different plan, and coaching worked out.
Well, let's get on that. Let's do some more music. Get back to everybody with the Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show. We're going to come back here in a little bit. We're going to talk to Coach Patton a little more and find out about that decision and kind of where he's went in life since then. You're listening to the Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show on Clubhouse Lounge Radio. It's the Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show here on Clubhouse Lounge Radio. We've got Coach Patton from the Unity Rockets. And not only is he a coach, he's a former wrestler. He trains. He does a little bit of everything. But Coach, thanks for joining us here on what is going to be Wrestling Wednesdays with you every single Wednesday here on the morning show. And We've talked about how you kind of got started, how successful your program's kind of been. We haven't got the full details yet, but we left off earlier in the morning about how you had a decision to make. You went to EIU, you were a Panther, you were on the wrestling team, and they dropped the program. What kind of feelings did you get for that? And then you said it was God's decision earlier to take you in the direction you went into coaching. Was that the tough decision you had to make?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I sat down and talked to my mom the most about it. You know, I know my dad took it pretty tough being a coach and being my coach for so long that I know objectively we wouldn't kind of see eye to eye, but that mother's love, you know what I mean, and really sat down and was like, hey, listen, you know, can your body really handle this? You know, you've had 2 shoulder surgeries already in high school. You know, this is a long road ahead. And she thought my gift was coaching. You know what I mean? Hey, your dad's a coach. You know, you've been around a lot of great coaches. Get to be around a lot of great coaches now. Scott Hamilton, Hall of Famer. You know, it's awesome to be around great dudes. That decision was hey, let's go this route and let's see how it really plays out.
So you went that route. No more wrestling, but now you're giving back to not only just a program but a sport. Because you're not only coaching Unity Rockets and wrestling, having a successful program. As we talked earlier in the morning, you have 3 state champions, 7 years straight of a state finalist, but you also train on the side and not just Unity Rocket guys in the off season, right?
Yeah. So that's where actually Patton training came from. I mentioned Josh Inman. So Josh was my dad's guy. He was one of his dudes growing up and coaching him through. When Josh and I started Patton Train Wrestling, we wanted to pay a little homage to my pops. You know, somebody that got us into wrestling, showed us what wrestling was all about. We wanted to show him. He was a firm believer of Central Illinois wrestling can compete with the nation, you know, and he was coming from Hoopston and Bismarck when he was coaching. Now we branched off into Champaign County, and Patton Train Wrestling is showing that.
Well, let's get into that here. Let's take a break, get back some music. We're going to come back with Coach Patton here in a little bit, and we're going to talk about Patton Train Wrestling and everything he offers in the offseason that keeps him busy and all get out during all year long. So, hey, we're going to be back with Coach Patton. It's Wrestling Wednesdays here on the Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show on Clubhouse Lounge Radio. It's the Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show. I'm Keith Gibson, owner-operator of Clubhouse Lounge Radio, Clubhouse217.com. It is Wrestling Wednesdays, and it is Coach Patton from the Unity Rockets and Patton Training. And, Coach, we talked earlier in the morning about your success. We've talked about kind of where you got to where you're going so far. You know, leaving EIU because they closed the program, and then you become a coach, and now you got success. But you do a lot of things in the offseason that maybe a lot of people don't realize, but you train wrestlers all year long, whether they're from Unity, whether they're from St. Joe, all over Central Illinois, and you have success doing it. Your program is one of the, if not the top wrestling training programs in the state.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like, we're competing with guys at Izzy Style Wrestling out of Chicago. You know, they're the premier program. I put Izzy out there. I mean, he's training Holly Holm and Clay Guida, and he's been in John Jones's corner, so he's got the MMA side of things. But yeah, man, it's awesome to see guys like Jack Barnhart from Centennial win a state title that trained out of us. Brody Cuppernell from St. Thomas More, 2-time state runner-up. Unfortunately, he lost to 2 Tolono guys with Hunter Easton and Nick Nosler in the finals. But man, what a great experience and a great bond that Brody and I got to have at the end of the state tournament. Just that, what a great run he's had, and he knows he's trained with us for 4 years, and we got to build that bond and see his run that way with plenty of other guys from Bloomington, all the way up from Clifton Central to Robinson. You know what I mean? Even to Morton. We've got a couple kids from Morton that come train now.
You got basically river to river. I mean, really, you're training guys from river to river, the entire 217 area code and beyond. You're kind of like Clubhouse 217. We're going river to river and everywhere, you know, which is great. That's why we love partnering with you and things. What kind of position does it put you in, though, when you've got one of your guys from Unity, and then you got one of your guys they're going head-to-head with that you trained all off season? That kind of tugs a little bit at the heart, doesn't it?
100% it does. 100%. It was a cool experience last year with Hunter Easton and Brody. It was a tied match going into the third period, and I vividly remember this. You boys are going to figure this out, and I'm going to party at the end no matter what. And it was nice to see that they had that mutual agreement, like, let's go scrap it out. We're gonna be friends afterwards. We're gonna be teammates and all this stuff, but we're gonna go win a state title. And knowing that it's good to see. You want to see kids succeed, man. And my number one thing is if the kid wants to put that extra effort in, I'm going to put that extra effort in. If they want to put that extra time in, I want to give them that extra time. And that loyalty runs that way is, hey, listen, if I'm putting in 12 months out of the year, you're putting in 12 months out of the year, there's a bigger bond than somebody that I work out with maybe 3 months out of the year.
Perfect. Let's get into that a little bit more here later on in the morning. I'm going to keep you here if you don't mind.
100%.
We're going to get back to the music here at Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show on Clubhouse Lounge Radio. It's the Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show here at Clubhouse Lounge Radio, clubhouse217.com. I'm Keith Gibson. Thanks for joining us this morning, wherever you're listening from. And my guest this morning on Wrestling Wednesdays is Coach Patton from the Unity Rockets and Patton Training. And Coach, and you guys have been Patton trained. You've got success all over the state of Illinois, especially here in Central Illinois. You have the premier wrestling, amateur wrestling. Now, I'm going to admit, I don't know much about amateur wrestling. And I'm excited because we'll just make the announcement right here this morning on the Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show. I'm going to come and broadcast a wrestling meet.
That's right.
Soon on senior night at Unity. Now, Coach, I know everything there is to know about pro wrestling. I know what a hip toss is. I know what a back suplex is.
That's
right.
A
bionic elbow. I couldn't tell you a thing about amateur wrestling. So you're going to have to teach me.
That's okay. That's what we're here for.
I'm trying to do a little research, but you're going to have to teach me some things. Give me some lingo, but I'm looking forward to it. But let's talk about the differences that people may not know about amateur wrestling to pro wrestling, because it is night and day.
Well, it's my favorite part, especially when I coach youth. When you get these kids, you're like, hey, you should come out and wrestle. And they walk in and like, where's the wrestling ring? Like, wait a second. Like, this is what I signed up for. You know what I mean? So you have a wrestling circle, and that's what they're wrestling in, just like any other sport that's gotten out of bounds. You know, there's no wrestling ring. There's no tables, ladders, and chairs. As much as we'd love to have a lot of fun, you know what I mean? It's just not what we do.
Coach, I'm not going to interrupt you, but it's not as fun as it looks, my friend. I've been in the ring, and I've taken a chair shot to the head. I've got the scar to prove it. It's not as much fun as you think.
Yeah, but you watch some of those dudes flip off a ladder. Now, that wouldn't be me. You know what I mean? I'm more of a cage match guy myself. I'm not jumping up off no ladder. But, yeah, man, it's different. It's some of the same stuff, some of the similar stuff. It's cool with Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar that were, you know what I mean, legit wrestlers, NCAA wrestlers, Olympic wrestlers, and now Chad Gable. But, you know, we have some of the similar takedowns, the fireman's carry. You know, that'd be Hunter Easton's #1 move. You know what I mean? Yeah, you said the hip toss and things like that, but it's a lot more MMA style of things without the punches and the submissions.
So more Greco-Roman?
A little bit. Greco is where you can't touch the legs. You'll get a lot of guys that be able to touch the leg attacks and things like that. No suplexes in high school wrestling, but our off-season wrestling that we do with Patton Train, there's all suplexes. So it gets a little bit more exciting that way.
Because we wrestle back suplex.
100%. So in our Patton Train stuff, we get to do that. In our high school season, not so much. There's three different styles. There's folk style, which is what we wrestle in high school. Freestyle and Greco-Roman, which are Olympic styles. That's what Patton Train is kind of geared towards in the off season.
Let's get into that. Let's get back to the music here in just a minute. I want to keep you there because I want to talk a little bit about the styles of Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, and Chad Gable, because I know you're a wrestling fan as long as I am too. Let's talk a little about that and how you can use their stuff to your guys. Sound good?
100%.
All right, we'll be back in just a little bit with Coach Patton here on Wrestling Wednesdays on the Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show on Clubhouse Lounge Radio. Back here on the Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show on Clubhouse Lounge Radio. Keith Gibson here with Coach Patton from the Unity Rockets and Patton Trained Wrestling. And Coach, earlier in the morning, we've talked a little bit kind of how you got to where you are, your successful program, kind of how your involvement in wrestling. And just a little bit earlier, we were talking about how the wrestling styles of amateur wrestling and professional wrestling, yes, there's stuff in the wrestling ring, ladies and gentlemen, is so different, but there's a lot of similarities too. We talked about Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle, the broke freaking neck, and Chad Gable, but they were all Olympic wrestlers. Well, except for Lesnar, but Lesnar was a national, an NCAA champion twice at the University of Minnesota, Golden Gopher. He and Shelton Benjamin both. But anyway, what do those guys have that you can say, okay, you can show them a clip of what they did that you can use for your guys?
A lot of takedown stuff, a lot of getting to the legs. You know what I mean? Anytime that you take your football guys and you want them to, hey, just football tackle this dude, and then you can kind of make tweaks on this is a double leg or this is what happens when you miss a single leg. You know, I can't straight full on run and spear guys, but from just the closeness of things, of getting to the legs and going from there.
Like, so when I try to watch here, and I love watching Angle and Gable and Lesnar and Benjamin, all these guys actually wrestling, because to me it's art. And I look at amateur wrestling. That's what it is too. It's art. There's a science to everything, isn't there?
100%, man. It's a physical chess game is how I try to put this. Is I'm trying to get you to step and react certain ways, and you're trying to do the same, but that physical contact of I'm putting you there, I'm physically moving you there. And that's the same way with even WWE. You know, they start off with a collar tie and a headlock and moving guys around. Most of your amateur wrestling is the same way. How quickly can I get my hands on you, and how quickly can I move you?
And there's not a lot of movement. I mean, it's kind of a sumo too sometimes. Sumo, I don't like to call it sumo, but you're fighting that. It's a lot of resistance.
Yeah, man.
Well, especially when you get to lower leg strength. I mean, your legs have got to be jacked.
Tree trunks.
You got to be strong. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have some tree trunks on it, man. And a little bit of sumo wrestling when you get to 215 and heavyweight. Let's call it what it is. We got our offensive tackle, Jaden Dean, going to be pushing some dudes around at heavyweight. So I get it. Some of it not offensively as maybe our middleweights, but yeah, you got to be strong. You got to be flexible. You know, you've got to be able to do certain things and be able to adapt.
Let's take a quick break, get back to the music. We're going to come back here in a little bit, and we're going to talk about the different weight classes. Sound good, Coach?
Yes, sir.
All right, you're listening to Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show right here on Clubhouse Lounge Radio at Clubhouse217.com. Here with Coach Patton from the Unity Rockets and Patton Trained Wrestling on the Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show. I'm Keith Gibson. And Coach, we've been with you all morning long. We're starting Wrestling Wednesdays on the Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show. Love it. I'm learning a lot. We're going to do some wrestling meets. It's meets, right?
Yep. Wrestling meets. You got dual meets, and then you have tournaments. Yep.
And you just got done with a couple tournaments, but let's talk weight classes, because I know we talked earlier in the morning. There's the heavyweights, and you have cruiserweights, lightweights. What are the classifications of amateur wrestling? I'm learning as much as all our listeners are right now.
That's awesome. Yes, yeah. So there's 14 weight classes in high school wrestling.
Oh, how many?
14.
Well, that's a lot of weight classes.
Yeah, man. So we get the most. The way I promote it with our school, we get the most bang for your buck. You know what I mean? There's only 11 football spots technically. Now, granted, we only have guys that go one way, so yours 22. But I have 14 weight classes to fill. I've got a kid that's 99 pounds, and I've got a kid that's 265 pounds. Both get the same practice and get to wrestle through all that stuff.
So, what do you see the most of as far as weight classes? I mean, what weight do you see the most guys in Central Illinois at? Is it like that 150 to 160?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So 144, the weight class has changed a few years ago, trying to adapt for middleweight guys. You know what I mean? The way Josh and I kind of put it as the linebacker, running back type. You know what I mean? We have a lot of those dudes. 144 to about 175. You know, Ryan Rink played safety for us. You know, a little bit of outside linebacker. He wrestles 175. Versus Hunter Easton that played defensive end for us. He wrestles a little bit at 190.
I didn't realize Ryan was that big.
He's really not that big, but he likes to be that big.
Oh, okay.
Dude likes to eat. Dude, he is comfortably underweight. Let's just put it that way. And like that, man, I don't cut weight with kids hard. There's some of them that have to make the lineup and do the right things. But for the most part, I want our kids getting big and strong and kind of grow from there. And yeah, Ryan's, probably around 170 to 172 on a good day. He's wrestling 175.
That's awesome. So you've got so many opportunities, and I think wrestling is one of those sports, high school sports especially, that doesn't get a lot of exposure. That's part of the reason we wanted to bring you on the morning show and start 100%. This was wrestling doesn't get a lot of exposure. And I love wrestling, pro wrestling. And I'm learning so much now.
We're going to get amateur wrestling too.
We're going to get into pro wrestling. Don't you worry about it. We will. Yes. But I want to educate our listeners. That's what the fun part is. So, 14 weight classes.
Yep.
Plenty of opportunity.
All body types. I mean, I've got a 132 pounder that's probably 5'5", and a 138 pounder that's probably 6'1". You know what I mean?
You've got a short 5'8" and about
man, you've got a short stocky short stocky kid, and his training partner's a long lanky kid. Like all body types, all shapes and sizes. Anything. It's great to have all these kids in here and getting better.
Let's take a quick break. We're going to go back to the music, and we'll come back and finish up before we close out the Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show with Coach Patton and see what's coming up for him and the Unity Rockets here in the next week or so. You're listening to Clubhouse Lounge Radio at Clubhouse217.com. Closing up the Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show here at Clubhouse Lounge Radio, Clubhouse217.com. I am Keith Gibson, and with me all morning, and will be every Wednesday morning, is Coach Patton from the Unity Rockets and Patton Trained Wrestling. And Coach, you've got a busy schedule coming up. You've had a successful program you've built over the last 8 years. And if you've missed any of this talk we've had over the morning, you can always tune in to our YouTube page. It'll be on there, and we'll have it all on there for you as well. But, Coach, let's talk about what you got coming up here this week. I know you got some meets coming up.
Yeah, we actually got a big meet coming up. So we wrestle Friday night. It's called the Dubtown Throwdown. So we get a little pro wrestling with amateur wrestling. So Washington, 2A school, Washington Panthers, two-time defending state champs. They're ranked 3rd in 2A right now. We're ranked 4th in 1A. They have this big event called Dubtown. So what we do is we wrestle at their 5 Points Theater. Each starter gets to pick a walkout song. They walk out like it's an MMA or WWE event, and they get to walk out to their music, come out and get to wrestle on the stage. Lights, spotlight, all at Dubtown. So this is a huge event for Washington. It's a huge event for us because it's normally they always pick a top 10 team in the state, 1, 2, and 3A, and we're really close to Washington, so excited to show what we got.
That's pretty awesome. How many people are there to watch?
I know they sell tickets. I know 5 Points is pretty full. It's pretty packed. I'm excited to get our guys out there and go, but it's pretty full. It's a nice event. I got to watch a couple as a friend of Washington when they got to wrestle JCA, Joliet Catholic, or Chatham Glenwood. So it's nice to be on the other side to get to go compete against our buddies.
That's awesome. What else do you have coming up?
So we wrestle Sycamore, actually. So after we're done with that, we pack up and we head up north to a 2 and 3A tournament with Sycamore. Big 30-team tournament, you know what I mean? Wow. We just ended up with a 60-team tournament, Abe's Rumble, in Springfield last week.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, man. So it's a 61A teams, 61A teams, and we ended up taking 4th, you know what I mean? So it's a good test to see what we can get in the postseason and what we need to fix. And then now we kind of go ramp up our schedule with 2 and 3A teams. So, you wrestle Washington, 2-time 2A champs. We go up to Sycamore. Sycamore had a good football run and 6 and 7A type of deal. So we're right there with those big schools, and then get to come back and be ready for regionals and conference.
And we'll get into that more in the weeks ahead about 100%. How you get 60 teams and the point system and all of it. You're going to be with me every Wednesday, Coach, and I can't wait to do it. I'm looking forward to it. Coach Patton from the Unity Rockets and Patton Trained Wrestling. Coach, if somebody wants to, if they're listening, and get their kid involved and get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you for Patton Trained Wrestling?
Instagram and Facebook, and then just my email at pattontrained@gmail.com. You know what I mean? We promote on social media, just like you do, and hoping with the Clubhouse, Lounge 217. Super excited to keep promoting.
Yes, and we'll have Coach back next week. This is the Clubhouse Cafe Morning Show. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank
you. We'll talk to you next Wednesday, all right?
Appreciate it.
All right, back to the music on Clubhouse Lounge Radio, Clubhouse217.com.